Fortnite is back online with Chapter 7 Season 4, but some PC players are already discovering a completely different problem. Their computers are getting loud, really loud. Instead of simply launching Fortnite and jumping into the new season, some players are reporting that their CPU and GPU are being pushed hard enough that their fans suddenly ramp up and their entire PC starts sounding like it's fighting for its life. And one player has already joked that Fortnite is making their PC so loud that Epic might as well have added Linux support. The joke is obviously not an announcement from Epic, but it does highlight a real concern that Fortnite PC players have been talking about: performance. And this isn't completely coming out of nowhere. There have already been reports from Fortnite players experiencing unusually high hardware usage, stuttering, overheating, and loud fans during the current period. One recent player reported that a Fortnite update caused their system to run significantly hotter, with their GPU reaching temperatures they weren't normally seeing while playing the game. They also reported visual tearing, input delay, and lag despite their FPS not necessarily dropping dramatically. That player was running an AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT alongside a Ryzen 55600 and said the problem appeared after updating Fortnite. And now, with Chapter 7 Season 4 officially arriving, players are once again paying close attention to what Fortnite is doing to their hardware. The reason this matters is simple. Fortnite isn't exactly a lightweight game anymore. Over the years, Epic has continued adding more detailed environments, effects, characters, physics, lighting, and gameplay systems. And with every major season, there are new assets and systems that the game has to process. Chapter 7 Season 4 is another major update. The V42.0 update introduces the new Override season, a redesigned map, new weapons, new gameplay mechanics, new cosmetic content, and major crossover material. That means the game is doing a lot more than it was doing during the previous season. And for some PC players, that can translate into higher hardware usage. The most obvious sign is the fans. If you've ever played a demanding PC game, you already know what happens. Your CPU or GPU starts working harder, temperatures rise, the cooling system reacts, and suddenly the fans start spinning much faster. The quiet PC sitting next to you becomes a miniature jet engine. That's essentially what some Fortnite players are describing. One player posted a video showing their PC running Fortnite and joked that the machine was getting louder than Unreal Engine 5 itself. Then came the punchline: maybe Fortnite added Linux support. The joke is obviously about how hard the computer appears to be working. But underneath the joke is a legitimate question. Why does Fortnite sometimes seem to push PC hardware so aggressively? The answer isn't necessarily one single bug. High GPU usage by itself isn't a problem. In fact, if you're trying to get the highest possible FPS, it's completely normal for a GPU to work hard. The problem is, when high usage comes together with unexpectedly high temperatures, severe fan noise, stuttering, crashes, or performance that is significantly worse than before, that's when players have a reason to start paying attention. And there are already community reports suggesting that Fortnite's PC performance has been inconsistent for some players. One recent report described Fortnite running poorly even on hardware that should be more than capable of handling the game. Another player reported intermittent stutters and frame rate drops and said the issue had been present throughout the current season. That same discussion included a player who noticed their fans kicking up whenever a lag spike occurred and speculated that something like a memory leak could be involved. That doesn't prove Fortnite has a memory leak. It doesn't prove the current Chapter 7 Season 4 update is causing overheating on every PC. And that's an important distinction. These are player reports, not an official Epic Games confirmation that the new update has a universal hardware problem. But when multiple players start reporting similar symptoms, it's worth keeping an eye on, especially immediately after a major update. Because Fortnite has had a long history of performance complaints from PC players, some players report excellent FPS. Others with very similar hardware can experience stutters, inconsistent frame times, or surprisingly high CPU and GPU usage. One recent discussion, for example, involved a player with an RTX 3070 and Ryzen 7 3000 700X, who said the current season was poorly optimized and that they were getting significantly worse performance than they expected from their hardware. Another player with an RTX 3070 laptop reported FPS drops from around 100 to 125 frames per second down to roughly 45 to 50 frames per second during gameplay. Again, none of these reports prove that every PC is affected, but they do show why the conversation around Fortnite's PC optimization keeps coming back. And now, the new season gives players another reason to watch their hardware. If you're playing Fortnite after the Chapter 7 Season 4 update, and your fans suddenly become much louder than usual, the first thing you should do is check your temperatures. Don't judge the situation purely by fan noise. Fan noise tells you that your cooling system is responding to something. It doesn't tell you exactly what that something is. Open your hardware monitoring software and check your CPU and GPU temperatures while playing. Then look at your CPU and GPU utilization. Also, check your FPS and frame time behavior. If your GPU is sitting at high utilization while maintaining stable temperatures and stable FPS, that's not automatically a problem. Your GPU may simply be doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But if you're seeing extremely high temperatures, severe stuttering, sudden FPS drops, or unusual behavior that wasn't happening before the update, then you have a reason to investigate further. And if the problem appeared immediately after Fortnite updated, don't automatically assume that you need new hardware. That's one of the biggest mistakes PC players can make. A game becoming more demanding doesn't automatically mean your graphics card suddenly became useless. Sometimes the problem is optimization. Sometimes it's a driver issue. Sometimes it's shader compilation after an update. Sometimes it's a setting that changed. Sometimes it's a background process. And sometimes it genuinely can be a problem with the game itself. That's why you should identify the actual bottleneck before changing anything major. Epic's own PC troubleshooting guidance includes checking Windows graphics settings and making sure Fortnite is configured to use the high-performance GPU when applicable. And if you're experiencing low FPS, stuttering, or performance problems, you should also make sure your graphics drivers are current and that the game has completely finished installing the latest update. But there's another interesting part to this situation. Fortnite's new season is launching at the same time that players are reporting these performance concerns. That makes it difficult to immediately determine whether what you're seeing is a genuine regression from the new update or simply normal behavior from a demanding game during the first launch period. A major Fortnite update can also trigger shader compilation and other background processes. And immediately after a large update, the game may need to process new assets and rebuild caches. That can temporarily make performance feel worse than it normally would. So if your PC sounds louder during the first few launches, that doesn't automatically mean something is permanently wrong. But if the behavior continues consistently across multiple sessions, that's when it's worth investigating. And this is where the player's Linux joke becomes interesting. The tweet itself is clearly exaggeration. Nobody should take it as confirmation that Fortnite suddenly supports Linux. The player is essentially saying, "My PC is working so hard that it sounds like Epic just added an entirely new operating system." It's a joke about the noise coming from the machine. But the fact that players are immediately talking about hardware load after the new season launches tells you how sensitive the Fortnite community has become to PC performance. Fortnite is one of those games where players care enormously about performance. Competitive players want high and stable FPS. They care about input latency. They care about frame time consistency. They care about CPU usage. They care about GPU utilization. And they definitely care when their PC suddenly sounds like a helicopter in the middle of a match. A few extra frames can matter to competitive players. A sudden frame time spike can be noticeable. And if an update causes hardware temperatures to increase significantly, players are going to notice that too. The good news is that there is currently no evidence that Fortnite is physically damaging PCs simply because the fans are getting louder. Modern CPUs and GPUs have built-in thermal protection. When temperatures rise, cooling systems respond and hardware can reduce performance to protect itself. But that doesn't mean you should ignore unusually high temperatures. If your CPU or GPU is reaching temperatures significantly above what you normally see, Investigate the cause. Check airflow. Check dust buildup. Check whether your fans are actually spinning properly. Check whether Fortnite is using the intended graphics API and rendering mode, and compare your temperatures and FPS with what you normally get in the game. Most importantly, don't confuse high utilization with hardware failure. A GPU running at 95 or 100% while you're getting high FPS can be completely normal. A GPU sitting at 100% while temperatures remain under control isn't automatically something you need to fix. The problem is when the performance you're getting doesn't justify the amount of hardware being used. That's when optimization becomes the bigger question. And that's exactly what some Fortnite players are questioning now. Why is the game pushing their hardware so hard? Is it the new season? Is it the new map? Is it new visual effects? Is it shader compilation? Is it a driver problem? Is it a specific Fortnite setting? Or is there actually a performance regression in the current build? Right now, the player reports alone aren't enough to answer that definitively. There is no official Epic statement confirming that Chapter 7 Season 4 universally causes PCs to run hotter or louder. So anyone claiming that every Fortnite PC is overheating because of the new update would be jumping ahead of the evidence. But the reports are enough to make the issue worth watching, especially because Fortnite's PC performance has already been a recurring community complaint. And if more players start reporting the same combination of symptoms, higher temperatures, louder fans, stuttering and lower FPS, then we'll have a much clearer picture of whether this is a genuine problem with the new build. For now, the safest approach is simple. If Fortnite is running normally, don't change anything just because someone else's PC is loud. If your own PC suddenly becomes much louder after the update, monitor your temperatures and usage. If everything stays within normal limits and your FPS is stable, the increased fan noise may simply mean your hardware is working harder. But if you're seeing overheating, major stutters, crashes, or significant performance degradation, then it's worth troubleshooting. And if the issue started immediately after the Fortnite update, keep an eye on Epic's official channels and community bug reports, because a future hotfix or driver update could potentially address the problem. So yes, Fortnite is back. Chapter 7. Season 4 is live. The servers survived the launch. But now some PC players have another complaint. Their computers are working overtime. One player joked that Fortnite is making their PC so loud that Epic must have secretly added Linux support. It's obviously a joke. But behind the joke is a bigger conversation that Fortnite players have been having for years. How demanding does this game need to become? Because for a game that is supposed to run on an enormous range of hardware, optimization matters just as much as new content. And if Chapter 7 Season 4 starts producing widespread reports of high temperatures, loud fans, stuttering, and inconsistent FPS, Epic is going to have another performance issue on its hands. For now though, the evidence points to a player-reported performance concern rather than a confirmed universal Fortnite hardware problem. So if your PC sounds like a jet after installing the new season, check your temperatures first. If they're normal, your fans may simply be doing their job. If they're unusually high, don't ignore it. And if you're also experiencing stutters or major FPS drops, keep an eye on whether other players are reporting the same thing. Because the real story here isn't that Fortnite has suddenly broken every PC. It's that another major season has launched, and PC players are already watching their hardware closely to see whether Epic has another optimization problem to fix.